Hey guys, this is Haven the Hare with the Swords of Valor, here once again to talk about our card game. This time with a playthrough so you can see how the game mechanics work. But before we get started on that, I wanted to bring up that part of the reason we're raising the money that we are is to help pay for the graphics. We understand that good graphics can make our game great. To that end, I wanted to point out why. We're very creative people and we can do a lot of things, but one of the things we realized, we can't draw. This is Exhibit A. This is when I tried to draw like Andy Warhol. This is when I tried to draw my cat. It doesn't even look like a cat. And this is actually done by Matt, who we have hired to do the graphics once we get funded. Now, I did manage to get Matt to give us some of the graphics up front, partially because I prepaid him, and the others because he owed me a favor for babysitting his children. Still trying to figure out who ended up ahead on that one. I digress. This is the type of card that will make up most of the deck. It is a strike and a block card, with a strike on one side and the block on the other. And the way the game works is when you play one of these cards, you choose the strike to go against your opponent. Your opponent then tries to match, say, this diagonal strike with a diagonal block from his own hand. And then he plays it. Once he has played that block, he then looks at the strike on the other side of that card, the strike on the other side of that card, and that is the strike he is putting against his opponent. When we found this mechanic, it really helps speed up our game and make it more realistic to the size and scope of an actual sword fight. Takes about 5 minutes. Next we have the press cards. The press cards kind of are that interrupt, that quick strike. A press card can represent when somebody is striking you that you step to the side and immediately strike back. To that end, you need 2 blocks to be able to block one of these. So say a high press like this needs 2 high blocks, and then you choose which one of those strikes on that block, those cards, you're going to then put back. Wilds are exactly that. They can block any strike. They can be any strike, any block that you want. And then you choose any strike that you want to put back against your opponent. Luckily, there's only 2 of these in the deck because they're very powerful. Lastly is graphics. I almost call this graphics because look, I'm still missing the graphics for the grapple card. But a grapple is one of the more intricate parts of the game. A grapple represents when the 2 fighters lock up with their swords and kind of fight it out real quick and then separate. And to show that, when you play a grapple card, you set it off to the side, you take all the other cards that have been played and you throw an extra one in, you shuffle them back up and then deal them back out to the 2 fighters involved. This way, you might even end up with some of the cards that your opponent played and really randomizes things up. And then you finish out the point. We found that this makes it a really interesting mechanic to be able to randomize things and make it really interesting. Now, as to the types of the cards, let's move on to the playthrough.
Here we go, and seeing player 1's entire hand. Player 1's now going to choose the high strike to play first. And he starts the fight stack. Player 2 has a high block with a low strike, so low strike to player 1. Doesn't have any low blocks, so he plays a wild card and chooses high. Player 2 does not have any high blocks, so he plays a high press. Player 1 now chooses those 2 high blocks and choosing a low strike to play against player 2, but they have a grapple. Now we take the grapple card, set it off to the side, and we're going to shuffle up the fight stack. We do need to add an additional card back in from the deck. There we go. We're going to shuffle these up. Once they're good and shuffled, we're going to then deal back out the same number of cards as currently played by the players. So that's going to be 3 for player 2 and 4 for player 1. So let's take a quick look at what we ended up with. And now, the player who played the grapple will go first. That's going to be player 2. Player 2 plays a low strike. Now, player 1 is going to choose the wild because it doesn't have any low blocks. And then call high. The player 2, there we go, has a high block with a low strike. Not having any low blocks again. Player 1 plays the press high. Looks like player 2 does not have any, so player 1 takes the point, collects all of the cards, including that grapple, and sets it off in front of them to score the point.
And that's how you play the game. Just keep doing that until the first player gets to 5 points and they win. Now before we get done, I did want to bring up one last thing, which is the steins in our final pledge limit. The picture I took just did not do it justice, so I want to give you a chance to show it here. This is what the steins look like. They're done by our friends GinGee Girls out of Wisconsin. We'll have a link in the description below so you can go and take a look at the rest of their work. They do some really excellent work, so if you ever need anything done, or they have plenty that she's already made up. If you have any questions about us, the card game, or the playthrough, by all means shoot me that message, comment below, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Until next time, I'll see you in the list.